she's live streaming the meeting room on YouTube, and I am live streaming the meeting room on WeChat channel. So we're waiting for different audience coming on their way, and they may raise their questions while we are interviewing you. And Tongyu and I will be in charge to interact with our audience, and we may collect their questions throughout the interview, and we'll raise that as well. And just let me give me a lot. If I raise some very offensive questions, then I will make sure you give me a hint and I will stop, or we can joke around and to smooth that out of the screen. And
okay.
Xiaolu, she and Daniel, they are business partners, and they are more familiar with fine dining. And myself, I specialize in immigration, but myself is a mom, and I like cooking. I don't like cooking. No, I don't like cooking. But I have a lot of questions because I'm from Canton as well. We know your culture background partially from Canton, and we may have a common questions throughout that. And Tongyu is from Beijing, and she may have her culture background, food flavor background as well. So the main scheme today, the interview, is to know you more and to interview about how you bring the Chinese flavor background integrated to the Western food world. And we may have a lot of questions about how you brought up in America and how you get into the catering business. How do you like cooking, or do you like eating, and how you?
No, but you must know I'm not crazy about America. It's a racist country that hates Chinese people. We have a long history of 200 years where Americans killed, lynched Chinese people. It's akin to almost what the Nazis did to the Jews.
I'm totally open to all that kind of comments.
And I have lived in that country, and luckily I left a long time ago. I'm so happy not to be in America because during COVID, some of my best friends, Chinese, his father was the first Chinese judge in America, very famous judge. And Kent, he's my closest friend, and his wife. Kent is a professor at UCLA, and his wife is Korean. And during COVID, he's a very elegant man and everything. He and his wife, they were insulted and spat upon.
Yeah.
But you know that over 260 Asian people were killed during COVID because they thought they were Chinese. Even though Vietnamese, I know a man, 90 years old, who went from Bangkok to Oakland, California to see his grandchildren, and they killed him. They stabbed him.
My goodness.
Because they thought he was Chinese.
So sad.
Only because they are Chinese. Okay. So
yeah, that is the country which I hate. Now, talking about the West, the country that I love is Europe. That's right. And I could tell you, during COVID, when I was here in Paris, people didn't even look. I would pass them on the street. They didn't even make I know body language very well. I know body language very well. So I know if they were racist, they think I had the COVID or whatever. By the way, I just got my latest COVID vaccination yesterday.
Great. You look energetic, and you look very healthy.
Because of the vaccine.
Oh, really? Okay. I've got injection. I've got 3 injections as well. And can you hear me clearer now? Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's not very loud. I can hear it clear, but it's
maybe
so
put
only
the
me, not very clear.
Yeah, maybe if you move the microphone a bit closer to your mouth. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
Let me see. I don't know how to raise volume. This is a new microphone for me. Let me see.
Oh, you sound louder now, actually.
Oh, this is louder.
Yeah, I can hear Daniel very well.
So is this?
I can hear
so this
clearly.
Is louder.
That's very nice. I can hear you better.
Yeah. what you did just now, I think, if you put the microphone in front of you, I think it amplifies the voice more.
So I'm going to eat my microphone to make everybody know that properly.
Can we put a little bit of chili sauce on it?
Okay. And let me think. So we will. So Ken, if you feel like I'm raising some questions you don't want to answer, just talk straight away. I think it's very safe to talk about the America. We hate it. That's a safe environment for me in WeChat channel, I would say. And but the main
have to be
purpose
honest,
is,
because we can't. It's a country that I unfortunately grew up in, and I remember. I can't tell you how many times people say, "Where are you really from?" I said, "I was born in America."
Oh yeah, by the way, can you also move the camera a little bit lower?
Okay.
Because otherwise I can only see half of your face. Yeah, maybe just lower towards you with the upper body. That's fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, much better now.
Okay. And people used to say in America, they said, "No, where are you really from?" At that time, I was not smart enough, old enough to say, "I'm actually from Mars." I'm an alien. You didn't know? Chinese alien. And that's why what I love about what I do is that I promote Chinese culture and through food, soft power. And I could tell you today is Friday. On the 10th, which is 3 days ago, I was in Brussels doing an event for over 350 diplomats from all over the world. It was NATO, everybody from all over the world. And I was showing them, it was for the Great Campaign in Britain, but I was showing them how we have soft power with our food. I mean, Chinese food is one of the greatest cuisines in the world. And I don't think the Chinese are using that enough to show our food is better. My mother used to say that we eat much better, and she's right.
Yeah, we have 1 minute to count down now, and just let you know, Ken, we have Xiaolu, Daniel, you met before, and also we have a secret guest today, Kevin. I know him at one of the events, and he has a picture, he has photo with you. Don't know whether you remember him, and he's very Xiaolu. You can introduce him roughly to our meeting guests.
I know he looks like a movie star.
Maybe he's from Mars too.
Hello, Chef Ken.
We all are from.
Kevin is actually one of our chefs working at the Mandarin Oriental Hyde Park, London before. We used to be colleagues together, and I think he's a big fan of you. And he actually just shared with me a photo that he took with you quite a long time ago. And so I don't know whether you remember him. Kevin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I can't hear Kevin.
Oh.
Kevin's microphone is not on.
He's on. Kevin, you're on
Kevin
mute.
is mute.
His microphone is not on.
He's unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Yeah. Thank you, Xiaolu, invite me to join the Zoom. Yeah, thank you. But I'm very lucky today. I'm off. So
we need to be on live now. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So it's 12 o'clock. Right. Hello everybody. Welcome to today's very special Oh, my mute is okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's very special live stream. Thanks to Tong Yu. She's a co-host of me from Capital Class, and her channel is live streaming at the moment on YouTube as well. And I'm Jean, and I'm the host of 圆桌辣妈派 on the WeChat channel. Also today I have Xiaolu and Daniel with me, and we have also got secret guest Kevin on board. They will introduce themselves shortly after. And also thanks to Mother's Bridge of Love, who provided interpreter today. So I'm absolutely thrilled and excited to have you all here for what promises to be a playful and fascinating interview with Ken today. So please let me introduce you a culinary legend, a man whose career has bridged cultures, continents, and cuisines. He is a celebrity chef. We all know him back in 1982. He has his own BBC program called Chinese Cookery, and he's also the author of over 20 cookbooks, which is, for example, his icon book called East Meets West Cuisine. This isn't just a recipe book, it's about storytelling, memory, and how flavors can bring people together. He's also one of the earliest pioneers to bring authentic Chinese cuisine into Western kitchens. So today we have interpreter, and she will interpretate most of what Ken Hong's interviews. And maybe in my live chat room, you will hear Chinese as well. And also feel free to raise your question here. So over to you, Xiaolu. Could you have a brief introduction about yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Xiaolu. So I am actually a senior HR consultant here in the UK during my day. That's my day job. But I have worked in the UK hospitality industry for almost like 20 years, mainly in luxury hotels such as Mandarin Oriental. I am very passionate about food, travels, and also cross-cultural communication, especially between the East and the West. So Chef Ken, I watched your TV series on BBC about 12 years ago, Exploring China. It was fascinating to see how you introduce our Chinese food, its culture, and history to the Western audience. I am very excited today to have the opportunity to speak to you about food, about culture, and hear about your experience and how you introduce the Chinese cuisine to the fine dining and luxury hotel industry. So now I'm going to translate my own words into Chinese. 谭先生您好，直播间里面的朋友们，你们好，我叫吴小璐，我是英国的一名人力资源顾问。我是在英国的高奢酒店行业，比如文华东方，工作了将近20年。我非常的热衷于探索美食、旅游和中西跨文化沟通相关的话题。那谭先生，我是在大概12年前在 BBC 看过您的美食节目，叫做《中国美食探索之旅》。节目里，您带观众探访中国各地的美食，介绍了本土文化和历史，非常的精彩，也很打动我。所以今天有机会能够和您当面交流，我感到非常的荣幸。我也很期待您的分享，特别是关于您如何把中餐美食带进高端餐饮和高奢酒店行业的经验。谢谢。
So over Daniel, please, a short introduction about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, good afternoon. So my name's Daniel. Lovely to see everyone here. So I'm a colleague of Xiaolu. We work together as HR consultant. My background is also being in hospitality, has always been my passion. And I work with Xiaolu at Mandarin Oriental, but also I work in other companies such as Soho House and Amman Resorts. I had the honor to meet Ken in person a couple months ago at British Library Food Season. I'm really delighted to be invited here and to continue those conversations. 大家好，我自我介绍一下，我是 Daniel，那我是小鹿的同事，我在英国有大概20多年的工作经验了，一直都是在不同的酒店集团工作，我跟小鹿最早开始是在东方文华酒店集团，那之后呢，在 Soho House、在 Aman、在Nomad Hotel 都有机会工作。那几个月前呢，我在British Library 跟 Ken 有机会认识。那今天很荣幸能够continue 这个 conversation。那谢谢大家。
Over to you, Tongyu.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tongyu, and I'm one of the founders for Capital Class, which is an online language school. So we teach English and Mandarin. So as naturally, the aim we learn the language is to exchange culture, exchange ideas. So exchanging events has always been our most important interest to promote to our students or collaboration organizations. 大家好，我的名字叫童宇，我呢是云都英校的这个创建人之一。那我们云都英校呢是主要教中英双语，在中英双语的教学过程中，我们会尽量的为我们的合作方和学生们提供中英交流的平台。这也是为什么我们会非常支持像这样的中英交流的活动。So let me please brief introduce about the Zoom platform. 我现在呢跟大家介绍一下我们的 Zoom 的这个平台。This is our first time to use a special function called simultaneous interpretation. 就是指口传同时的这种口译。那So this function, it allows the audience to choose the channel. So you can see at the bottom, there's a globe symbol, and you are welcome to switch them during the meeting anytime. 所以呢，您看到的呢，就是在您的这个下方会有有一个这个选项，是一个像地球仪的这样哈。那您点开它的时候，它会让你选择中英或者是英文。所以在 Zoom 里面的听众，你可以愿意练英文，你就切换哈，你或者是要听文化，或者是要这个练听力，你都可以随时的这个切换哈。So that is our interpreter working who's Jennifer. Thank you very much for your help today. 感谢 Jennifer 今天在上播我们的这个同传。那我们的这个整个的活动也是在油管上直播哈，还有在直播间，所以我看大家已经很对这个直播环境非常了解了，不愿意被露面的话，您就可以随时把您的摄像头关掉。那 So if you do not because the event is live on YouTube, so for whatever reason you does not want to show your image, please you can feel free to switch off your camera. 可以把你的这个摄像头关掉。And about the interpretation, now the characteristic of interpretation job is need about 10 to 15 minutes break. Okay, so our rhythm will be key speaker have a brief chat around 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll pause it for a while for a Q&A session. So to give the interpretation a break. 所以我们的口译呢，因为今天我们只联系到了一位，那么口译工作是很特殊，他不可能长时间的不停的做1个小时的口译，所以呢，我们的节奏是大概10到15分钟的时候，由主讲者他用英文的时候会有这个口译的服务。那么中间穿插的这个问问题的其他的我们嘉宾问问题，因为我们都是双语的，我们就会自己来用双语来解释。就像我现在做的这件事情，刚才你看到 Devin 和小鹿也在做。但是如果有什么问题，你可以随时利用的 chat Any question come along, you worry about forget later, you can always put in the chat and wait for the Q&A. 我遗漏掉什么了吗？ Have I missed anything? Anyone?
I think that's it. And yeah, thank you, Tongyu. And also, Kevin, do you like to briefly say 1 or 2 things about yourself, or you would just like to be?
Maybe just 1 minute. Because it's a very surprising today. Charles told me where we got a meeting on Zoom with Mr. Ken Hong. I'm very, very surprised because I work in the, I can't say now, later we show the picture, maybe he can remember what's the picture from and how long we took that one. So I'm very happy to maybe get some small question to ask. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have to switch from different platform. Right. Okay. So I think we've got a brief introduction about everybody, and we can start. Finally, we can start to interview Ken, and let's join everybody. Join me and giving a warm welcome to the one and only Ken Hong. 欢迎大家来到我们的这个频道啊！像大家可以从 YouTube 和这个微信的直播间都可以来回的穿梭哈，也欢迎大家把这个问题可以放到我直播间。So Ken Hong, I know that we can carry on with our topic just now. That we know that you were born in America, but now you live in Paris, and you love and you came to the UK for a while as well. So comparing the different cities, and for now, which one is your most favorite place to live?
Well, I love being in Europe, but I think when it gets cold, I want to be in Thailand. It's because I grew up in Chicago, where it was freezing, and I hated it. So it was very interesting. And apologize, I don't speak Mandarin because my first language was Cantonese, and I only spoke English when I was 6 years old. And I still speak Cantonese, especially with 2 glasses of wine. My Cantonese gets very good, as my friend. So, but it's very interesting about my my journey, how I developed this thing about, people ask me, how did you come up with the idea of East and West? Well, I tell you, because many years ago, before any of you were born, because you're so young, all of you, more than almost 50 years ago, I was teaching about Chinese cooking. I have been cooking Chinese since I was 11, and that's something I knew, so that when I needed money to pay the rent, I can have cooking classes, Chinese cooking classes in my home. Also, no tax. And it worked out very well. And as I became very known, I was asked to teach professional chefs about Chinese cooking. And when you teach people about Chinese, they're not living in China. So the question is, how can I they can take what they learn about Chinese and use it in their everyday life. They're not in China. So, but there are many things you can learn from Chinese culture and cooking, like steaming and how we use things. So then I came up with the idea of, which is actually in my own cooking, I do that at home. I mix Chinese things with Western things, and you need to think outside of the box. Now, what was interesting was how, when I did my second book, after my Chinese book, I did it on East meets West. It made a sensation. I was asked by the peninsula in Hong Kong, Bundao, to cook for 2 weeks. I was the first Chinese to cook at the Peninsula Hotel in Hong Kong. Before, they had people cook, but they were French or a Western, but never a Chinese. I was the first. The Chinese press in Hong Kong went crazy. And during that time, you know, the airline, Cathay Pacific management came to eat my food at the peninsula. And they said, "We love it, Ken. Can you do this for the airline for 3 years?" So for 3 years, from 1990 to 92, I did all the food on Cathay Pacific, East meets West. Now, what was good about that was obviously you cannot do Chinese food on an airline. It's very hard. I mean, the only thing you could do is noodles. You know, you can do instant noodle. That's the only thing that works. But for Westerners, what do you do? So I did food that appealed to Chinese, Asians, as well as to Westerners. And it was a really huge hit and sensation. And after that, I went around the world cooking at the Oriental, Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok, East meets West, all the top hotels in the world. They asked me to come and cook. And I was on an airplane for 5 years, nonstop, flying all over the world and cooking. So it's been quite a journey. Want to translate that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ken. And I'm curious about to know that you start to actually get involved to the cooking from 11 years old, and it's really boring and hard work. And how could that still make you into the cooking? So do you personally like cooking, or do you like eating?
Well, I love cooking and eating because I can cook what I like. And the thing about I mean, I did not choose to work in a restaurant because we were very poor and we needed the money. But I learned a skill, and something I learned is why I never had a restaurant. I do not. I love teaching cooking, and I love working in hotels where I have a staff, but I don't want to have a restaurant. People used to say to me, "Ken, you could be making so much more money." I said, "No, I'm staying. I don't have stress. I don't have a restaurant." But I love cooking in other people's restaurants. I don't want to have one.
Can I know that whether you actually cook at home for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I love, in fact, one thing I love is cooking for friends. And cooking at home is very different from cooking for people you don't know. And I love cooking at home because I can cook what I like. I love that. If I see something I want to eat, then I can cook it. And it's very nice. And that's why I love inviting people over, because I can use them as guinea pigs when I try something new.
And can you tell the difference roughly between the Chinese food and Western food? Because do you have a lot of a Chinese friend who likes your cooking, or you have a lot of Western friend who likes your cooking?
Well, you know, the biggest difference is number one, the techniques of cooking. You know, obviously, we Chinese cook in a wok, and so it's very hot. You have a smoky flavor that's not associated with Western cooking. I remember when I did my first series for BBC, the producer said, "Ken, you have to slow down. We have 28 minutes to kill. You're cooking everything in minutes." I would chop it so fast, throw it in the wok, and it's done. Because in Western cooking, you put it in the oven, you wait for 30 minutes, like that. But in Chinese, instant gratification. And they couldn't believe it. And they were scared. And that's the big difference between Western and Chinese cooking. our cooking techniques are very different, and obviously our taste is different. The sauces are different. For instance, Chinese do not use butter. We do not use olive oil. But those things, when Chinese discover them, they love it. And what I love about East and West is opening a world to two sides. To the Western world can discover our great food, and we Chinese can discover their food, and why not use the best? I mean, this is what I think China has done very good. It's bringing the world together so that Chinese trade, it's good to make money. And for instance, Chinese are learning about wines now, which is great. And that's very Western. Chinese, we don't drink wine. And, the world is great when we share. We share. We share things. And it's good that we're open to learning about other things. And I've met many Chinese now that taste French wine and they say, wow, it's great because it's a lot less alcohol than Chinese spirits. And it's easier to drink. And it goes with Chinese food.
Right. And I'm also curious in knowing about that. I think different people has different talents, and if we like cooking and we can make a good dish for everybody to share, and you must have some talent about your taste buds, because I'm cooking myself and I can hardly please anybody around me. And maybe I can only please myself because I'm from a background of living. We would normally in old days, I know everybody in their memory, they have a like mother's taste bud memories. And so do you agree that you have a great talent in the cooking? You have your taste bud is many more than other people's, and somehow that brings you to be a best cook to please so many people.
The thing is, to me, nothing is better than mother's cooking in any culture, because our mother nourishes us. I'm a militant feminist. I think women should run the world. And women can cook. They cook from the heart, and they know how to make things tasty because they have to feed a family. And I'm always a fan of mother's cooking in any culture. In any culture, here in France, we search for mother's cooking, and I love restaurants that serve mother's cooking, not fancy Michelin star food. I want good home cooked food. And the thing I tell people about cooking is you must cook what you like to eat, because when you cook what you like to eat, it tends to be very good because you want to please yourself. I mean, it sounds very egotistic, but it's important to please yourself. And if you please yourself, well, nobody else like this. It's their fault.
We have some questions here already that we have a lot of mothers who cook every day. And just now you mentioned that in the Western food, it takes a long time to get food ready. But for me, I think to get 4 dishes ready at one meal is even harder than putting the things, every half-cooked things in the oven. So our audience just asking, how could you keep your passion of keep cooking? How could you keep that passion on?
How do what?
How could you keep your passion of cooking?
Yes. Well, the thing is, don't make things complicated. In fact, some of the best things are simple. If you, for instance, just take a good example. You stir fry some wonderful pork with vegetable in season, and all you need to do is slice the pork that's very quick and marinate it in light soy sauce, some Shaoxing rice wine, sesame oil, and corn flour. Let it sit. Chop up your vegetables and use a lot of garlic. Garlic is a gift from the gods. Garlic is used a lot in Western cooking, in Chinese cooking, in cooking everywhere in the world. And garlic is good for your health as well. And it gives flavor to dishes. And you just heat up the wok. You stir fry the meat and you take it out, let it drain. Put garlic, your vegetables, stir fry, add a little bit of water or something, and then return the meat and some oyster sauce. Oh yeah, wow, instant food and fantastic. I mean, if you're cooking for a family, kids love it. If you're cooking for friends, they love it. And just make sure you have plenty of wine. And it's so delicious. I mean, my mouth is watering as I'm talking to you. I'm sorry. I can smell the garlic in the wok. It's so good. Garlic is so good.
I know we have different type of dishes from different area, and some northern part of China has their own choice, and southern part of China has their own choice. And I know from Canton we have taste of a different kind of very variety food as well. So in the Western world I think it's more boring because there is no. I would say I've been living in the UK for over 20 years, and I can hardly find good food in the UK, and that's a question about. What do you think? Do you think we do have do you think we do have good food in the UK?
Well, you know what? I found that people who, because I grew up Cantonese, and my mother never made spicy food. And I remember when I first went to Sichuan in the 80s, I could not believe mala. Wow, so good. It's so addicting. I just love the mala and the spicy Sichuan sauces and everything like that. And this is what I love about China as well. China, also because it's a very big country, we have a very ancient civilization, the oldest civilization in the world today. And the regional variety we have is amazing. Each region is almost like a country. I mean, Cantonese food is so different from Sichuan food, and the north is nothing like in Canton. I remember going to Beijing, and I said, no, Beijing is not as good as Cantonese food. I'm chauvinistic. I think Cantonese is the best because I grew up Cantonese, and I used to teach cooking classes in Hong Kong. So I love shopping in the markets in Hong Kong, and I think some of the Hong Kong chefs are the best in the world. I even wrote a book about Hong Kong cooking in the 80s. And, Chinese, we come from such a rich culinary culture, and we should use that to spread what I call soft power. A few days ago, today is on the 10th of June, I did a demonstration in Brussels for the EU, NATO, and I was there for the British Great Campaign. I'm an ambassador. And 350 diplomats. I did a demonstration for them about Chinese cooking and how easy it was to do. And they couldn't believe some of them. I mean, from places like Georgia, really quite interesting for them to see how the universal appeal of Chinese food, when you could smell it, and it was just really sensational to show the world. I mean, 350 diplomats from all over the world. They come for NATO, they come for the EU, all these ambassadors. And for them to see Chinese, some of them, he said, we knew it was good, but we didn't know it was that good. It's so easy. And this is what I love to show. I want to show our culture, Chinese culture, in a way that that's very appealing.
We have a lot of questions already comes up in our audience,
Yes.
in our chat room, and because we know that from Canton, also wok hei, and you know Cantonese too. So when you're cooking Chinese food, we need that wok hei, and in Western food, you normally don't have that kind of things, and so that's why we're always thinking that when we are cooking Chinese food in the UK, abroad, it's hardly to make the same kind of food that we cook in China. Can you tell us what is the difference and how could you cope with that kind of differences?
Well, you know, when you go to China, I remember a sensational restaurant I went to in Shanghai. It was a Michelin star restaurant, but they were serving 1,000 people in a setting. And I had to see the kitchen. The kitchen was outside and everybody had their woks. All the chefs had all their wok cooking each dish. And they were doing it really quickly for 1,000 people, each sitting. It was, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And that's part of our history. Why did we come up with that kind of cooking? Because China was fuel short. We did not have a lot of wood and things to burn. So when we cook, we had to cook quickly. We did not have much fuel. So it had to, and out of that culture, the wok thing developed. But also Chinese cooking is more than stir frying. It's also, I think, steaming. To me, nothing is better than Cantonese steamed fish. Perfect way to cook fish that is very fresh with ginger, spring onions. Oh, so good. And such a healthy way to eat. And makes me want to do that tonight. When I talk about food, my mouth gets. I love to eat. I think eating is one of the great pleasures in life. And if you don't enjoy it, and it gets you into less trouble than other pleasures.
I can tell from what you, whenever you say, I'm going to use my ginger and garlic tonight as well. And that makes the flavors of the food. And that's one of the outstanding flavor from all Chinese cookings, I think. And the wok hei, and also I know that you love it. You have these passions, so that's why you can keep cooking and keep on this journey for a long time. And you write a lot of books, and you introduce Chinese cuisine to the Western world. And but I know you have a degree from history of art, actually. So you were not, so how can you turn your life point from, because in our China background, maybe we think chef is not a very high ranking job, and with a degree of a history of art is much more posh. So how can you turn your turning point from history of art to the cooking area?
But the whole thing about history of art in history, which I'm very interested in, this is how you learn about culture. Art is part of culture. And when I study Western art, I learn a lot about Western culture, which tells me more than anything. How they develop and how it's so different from Chinese culture. And art is a reflection of a country, history, civilization. And it's different, just like food. Food is the same thing. It's a mirror of our culture. And art is a mirror of our culture. And it tells you a lot about, it made me intrigued about Europe and France and how things developed. And I learned a lot. And food is the same way. To me, food, of course, food is culture. And if we share food, I mean, for instance,
indeed. And now for the high-tech development, we're now having some cooking machine produced. And would you think for the AI will get involved, and that would replace the robotics in the future? We may have robotics bringing up food for you. Would that replace us in the future?
I don't have the smell, the taste. No, I'm sorry. This is part of we as human beings. We have smell and taste, and that I don't think you can. I do not believe tech-wise you can do that, and that's why, for instance, I tell people, even though I've written almost 40 cookbooks, I said, don't just follow the recipe. The recipe is only a guide. Add your own taste. And talking about taste, for instance, the West has discovered ginger. Before, they didn't know ginger. And now ginger is so popular. It's good for your health. When you have a cold, you're under the weather, you have sliced ginger tea with some honey. Oh, it's better than any medicine. And that's what my mother used to do. And these things we share as part of our culture. And it's food, too.
Can I ask a question if that's okay, Jane?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yes.
So hi, Chef Ken. So I have noticed during my time here in the UK, Western cuisine places great emphasis on precision in cooking. So measuring ingredients down to grams and centimeters. I remember quite vividly during my time working with Chef at Dinner by Heston Blumenthal that they asked me, why can't our junior chef cut the carrot exactly the same into like a 1 centimeter square cube? But in contrast, Chinese cooking often relies on intuitive seasoning, using terms like a pinch of salt or a dash of soy sauce, focusing more on a sense of balance rather than the exact measurement. So how do you view the differences? I'm going to translate it into Chinese myself as well for the audience.
Well, it's very interesting. It's like Star Wars. You know the movie Star Wars?
Yeah.
Chinese cooking is like the Yoda. You have to go by your feet.
Sorry, Ken, shall we just get Xiaolu translate her questions in Chinese first? Otherwise, our audience, some of them may not understand what question is. Just for 1 second when Xiaolu translate her question.
Sorry about that. Yeah, 西餐的烹饪过程它非常的注重精准，就精准到克和厘米。我记得以前我和一个英国的3星米其林餐厅的主厨聊天，他很恼火，因为他说为什么他们这些其他的厨师不能像他一样把萝卜切成一模一样1立方厘米的形状。但是呢，中餐的烹饪往往就是更加的随意，就是说一般来讲说少许盐、少许酱油，他们是更注重这种随意的感觉，所以我就想问一下谭先生是如何看待这个区别？对。
Yes, but it's very interesting because a lot of Chinese cooking is by instinct. And you know what? Actually, Western chefs do the same thing. I've worked with many of the top French chefs all over the world, and they are the same thing. Italian chefs do that. And if you go to people's home in Italy, in France, you see mothers cooking. They don't use a recipe. They don't measure. They just know how much to put in, because cooking is also from experience. That's why I say to people, don't do cooking because it's trendy or so. Cook if you really want to cook. And the thing is, go by your instinct. Your instinct is really what forms you. And I grew up watching chefs cook and my mother cook, and that's how you learn. and actually so much more reliable than recipes are only a guide. And it used to drive me crazy doing recipe book because I had to measure everything. Oh, it was a nightmare. It was really a nightmare. And to learn that when I had to do television, I had to say 1 tablespoon of this. I don't remember that. As you said, you add soy sauce, right? If the wok is too hot, add some Shaoxing rice brine. Cool it down. I mean, use your but that instinct also comes from culture. It's from watching and learning.
I can tell when you have love in your mind, when today's cooking will taste differently. If you are sorrow and you have different tastes of food that you make as well, that brings all your passions and your thinking into your cooking. So for that, we know that it's really difficult it's a really interesting point. So in our culture, when we grow up, we also seek a standard. We want to have a standard answer. But in cooking, we're improvising every day. We have no certain standard. So there's a conflict of both ways already. But how can you, I understand maybe that is one of the reasons why there are not so many Chinese Michelin restaurants in the UK. Is that one of the difficulties? And how can you, because you need to be the authority, let people believe what you introduce is the best food. So how can you persuade other people to understand and believe in you that what you promote is the best of the world, and to set up your business, set up your restaurant, to get more business, more followers to taste your food?
Well, you know what I always said to when I work with restaurants and chefs as a consultant, I said, number one, cook what you like to eat, because that's when you begin a restaurant, you should cook all your favorite dishes. And what really makes a restaurant successful is word of mouth. If I've been to a good restaurant, I would tell friends about it. It's not what I read in a newspaper. It's what friends tell me. I believe in friends first, and then I will go try it. If my friend tells me this is really good, I will go try it. And for the restaurant, you must cook from your heart. And when you cook from your heart, usually it's very good. Mother's cooking never fails. If you cook your mother's best dishes, you will have a successful restaurant. I can believe that. Simple food, not complicated, simple but delicious, full of flavor, not complicated, which I think is the most important thing. And this is why I try not to go to all these Michelin star restaurants, because that's not the kind of food I want to eat. I don't want to eat that kind of food. Precious, small. I want food that has wow taste, like how my mother used to make it. Even here in France, I look for that kind of places to eat.
I think that surprised us. The answer surprised me as well, because I'm always looking for best food in the UK as well. We complain about in the UK we only have fish and chips, and we thought Michelin restaurants are the best place to go. To taste the best food of the world, because they have a standard.
You know what I love? I love restaurants which are simple, doing great home cooked food, and you could tell they're popular because they usually have a queue. They're not expensive, and they're just simply good. It's the kind of food I like. And when I was younger, I want to eat in all these Michelin. I've eaten so much Michelin food that I'm sick of it. And now what I search for now is good, simple, delicious foods. That's all. Nothing fancy.
Thank you so much. And we have more questions coming up in our chat room now. So we have one audience asking, what do you think about the future of Chinese cooking? Is it going to be very different from what we have now?
Well, Chinese food, I remember when I first went to China in 83, and Chinese food was very different because there was a lack of ingredients at that time. It was harder to get. And now when I go to China, the quality of the food is so fantastic. But you know what? Cooking, like everything, has to evolve as well. For instance, the people are now eating less meat, they're eating less fat. It's because we want to live longer and we know more about it, except I like pork belly. I still like pork belly. But I think it's like everything. It evolves. And cooking evolves. It's modern now. Chinese chefs are discovering. They come to the West. They eat in British restaurants, British chefs. They eat in. They come to France. I see a lot of Chinese chefs coming to France. They come to Italy, and they're learning as well. Maybe new ideas to bring back to China. And so it's like everything in China. I have seen how China has evolved. It's amazing. From 83 to now, you can't even recognize it. And the same thing with the food. Everything changes for the better. I'm an optimist, and I've seen how China has really progressed in every level, and even with food. I mean, it's fantastic. And many chefs are going back to their culture, their history. And I love how some chef that I met in Chengdu, he was researching old recipes from before. That's fantastic. Before we didn't have that option to do that, and people are doing it now.
Yeah, in China now we have lots of takeaways and fast food. People are running out of time to cook, and we have lots of pressure as well. But I'm very curious, throughout so many years that you introduced Chinese food, Chinese cuisine to the Western world and to the Western kitchen, but why do we not taste the similar typical Chinese food in the UK? Typically, for whatever we taste here is so different from what we take in China. So that's why still many people want to go back to China and taste their food.
Well, you have to also, we're not in China. The UK is the UK. So the ingredients are different. Everything is different. And of course, it will taste different than being in China, which is only natural because there are ingredients in China that you don't find in the UK. So, but you make Chinese version of what you can find in Britain. And that's the power of Chinese food. It's one of the most popular food all over the world. It is. If you ask, it's number one in the UK, number one. And the thing is, a lot of people, what I would love to see in the UK that we have in China and like in Thailand is all these people cooking food stall where you can get a good meal. It's better than fast food because fast food, processed food, is full of chemicals and it's very dangerous. And now we're learning more and more how some of these processed food are causing cancer, kind of illness. And it's very, very scary.
I think our other guest has some question as well. So you don't have to wait for me to cue you because I can't see you're raising your hand. So feel free to step in if you want to.
May I ask a question,
Yes.
Ken? So I'm a big fan of Saturday Kitchen, and I've seen you on TV many times. And in UK, you've been called the man who taught Britain how to cook Chinese food. And looking back, I just want to ask you, what do you think your approach to food that really resonates with the British audience so much?
Well,
And
I think, yes.
I'll translate the question into Chinese for the Chinese audience, if that's okay.
Yes.
所以我刚刚问的是，您曾被称为教会英国人做中餐的人，回顾过去，您认为对食物，您对食物的诠释，为何能够如此能够深深打动英国的观众？Yeah. Sorry, Ken, over to you, Ken. Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Daniel, is that when you are doing something, showing something which is different from another culture, you need to find sort of common language that they can understand. So I think it's important to make something approachable, but without corrupting its authenticity, which I think is really important. I think when I show Chinese, I do not anglicize it. I do not make it English. I do Chinese, but I speak in a language that they can understand. And sometimes I try to find analogies to something they might eat that is similar. And this is, I think that's what diplomats do. They speak in a language that everybody can understand and accept.
Thank you. And we have another question saying, our cooking is passed down through generations. Are there any particular skills you think are in danger of being forgotten? 就是在我们的这个未来的这个厨艺当中，都是通过妈妈，刚才妈妈这样是妈妈怎么做，我们就知道怎么做。但有没有可能有一些厨艺在我们的这个过往的传递当中会被忘记？
Well, it's funny because I think that to the contrary, things are not dying out. I know because my Ken Hom Wok has sold 8 million in almost 80 countries, even in China. And so that cooking, on the contrary, instead of dying out, it's growing, and people are learning more and more how to use a wok and stir fry, and they also understand how handy a wok is. I mean, when you live in a small place, and also you don't need 10 pots and pans, you have one that does everything, and it's so practical. And so for your question, instead of dying out, it's actually growing worldwide.
And Kevin, I know Kevin, he also cooked for the high-end restaurant and hotel in the UK. Kevin, do you have any questions you would like to share with Ken as well? I think you must have a lot of comments in how your experience as a chef working in the UK. Do you have any questions for Ken? 问 Kevin 下去了吗？ Is Kevin still here?
Kevin, 你的麦克风没有开 Your mic is mute. You need unmute your mic, Kevin. Kevin, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hi, Ken. Nice to see you. That picture we took maybe 2004 or 2005 when you were in Yellow River.
Oh yes, Yellow River Cafe.
Yeah, Yellow River Cafe. Yeah.
20 years ago. Oh my God.
Yeah. I have a question. If I know Miss Ken, yes, a long time ago. I want to know how in the UK, how can you improve or introduce Chinese food in the UK in the future? what's your like plan or like that?
Well, what's interesting is that before,
I know that you are the best Chinese chef in the UK, so I want to know that what's the like a plan or something in the UK in the future.
Yes, well, for Chinese food, the UK is discovering other regions in Chinese cooking. In other words, I love it that, for instance, Sichuan food has become very popular, which they didn't know before. And people in the UK are much more open now to other regions of Chinese cooking. They want to, people in the UK love Chinese food. I mean, it's the best in the world. Of course they love it. And it's something that is different from what they would eat. It's not fish and chips. So I like fish, but you can't have that every day. And what you love about what they English people tell me what they love about Chinese food is the variety. We have such a vast repertoire of dishes, of flavors, tastes that is multi-dimensional, is unrivaled in the world, actually. And it reflects part of the fact that China is the oldest continuous civilization in the world today. And the rise of China economically has helped spread, Chinese food, which is fantastic. And I'm proud to be part of that.
Yeah. As you said, I know that in the UK, if we cook the real Chinese food, that's depend on the different ingredient. It's very difficult from China to UK. So that's why the most Chinese food in the UK is only like for the business. They want to make the business the first. So second one, if they want to do the real Chinese food, I copy the real one from China. That's different, and maybe they can't continue to support the business. That's why I think.
But Kevin, we have to realize that we're not in China.
Yeah.
And so I think what the Chinese restaurants do, they use what they can get, and they do it within their context, which I think they do a very good job. And they don't try. You're not in China, so you can't replicate the same thing. And when I taste Chinese food in Thailand, it's not the same as well.
But anyway, if we are in the UK, so we can use UK's ingredient to cook the best food in Chinese way. I think that we can do the better. Yeah.
Yes, we could show them a better way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we have 2 more minutes left. So there's a golden time. Yeah, of course, Tongyu.
Hi again. And I'm actually wondering that I was going to ask you a question whether you interpreted this kind of change or mix as in improvement or backwards to Chinese food cuisine, but you have identified you think is improvement. 所以我的想前面做一个铺垫，就是刚才我本来其实想问一下，像这种本土化的中餐，那对于看来讲，它的理念感觉这是一种进步还是一种退步？那么刚才在看讲的时候，他已经好像在说我们在越来越好，所以他会感觉是一种进步。So my question is, do you think in the future you would do the same thing as in your idea of changing the Chinese to more traditional Chinese dish to more globalized? So this kind of like changing of globalization is worth if you have interpreted as an improvement to Chinese food. Do you think then the next step is to bring this kind of globalized improvement back to China? 您觉得像如果您认为这种方式经过这个中餐，经过这种本土化的演变，经过全球的这种影响，那它是变得比以前更好了，那您会觉得这种变得更好的中餐，您觉得您会在将来去介绍给返回来介绍给中国的这个食客吗？
Well, just the way I have seen China change, obviously everything is, the world is changing. And as you say, there's nothing wrong with globalization as long as we take the best of everything. See, something I noticed that I see in China is the rise of especially organic food. And that's another thing that we're aware of that people are not aware of before. The use of less chemicals, pesticide. You know, these things are so important for for the world coming up, for our health, everything. We're learning more. And as we learn, we grow. And our food will change and grow with us for the better. And I have seen China, how it has changed in more than 40 years. It's, I mean, short of a remarkable in such a short time. And I'm very optimistic. And I look at everything as a glass half full, not half empty. And food will improve, as I've seen in China. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
So
Thank
you
you.
think
Thank
you
you,
will bring
Ken.
this idea back to China? Do you think there's a market for it, this type of globalized Chinese dish
Oh,
introduced back into mainland China? Have
of
a
course.
Ken home restaurant.
No, absolutely. It's already happening. It's already happening with a lot of top chefs using ingredients they never used before. And good. It's for everybody's benefit that all these chefs are evolving and changing. Okay. Thank
Thank you,
so
Ken.
much.
And I also know that I have one more last question I really want to ask, because through the whole many years, and you are one of the pioneers to introduce Chinese cuisine to the Western world. And I know you've been through many hard times as well. Do you ever feel like people's questioning you, are you American Chinese or Chinese American chef? So how could you cope with that kind of image and let people know you are your icon? So comparing between so many titles, you've got CBE awards, if you are an author, you are a TV host. So which one is your identity? You think you
My
are?
identity, more than anything, is Chinese. All you have to do is look at my face. And I am so proud to be Chinese. I'm proud of our history, our food, everything, and I am doing everything to be the ambassador of Chinese culture. And that's my goal. To make people aware, understand us, and like us, because it's very easy for to do China bashing, and I see it, and I fight it with good food. Thank you all.
Thank you for leading the flag, and we know
Yes.
we're honored to have you on board as the honorary chairman of the British Chinese Council as well. So we're still in the process. We have so many Chinese working together. We want to build up our image abroad to let the world to know us, not just about a Chinese chef. We have so many excellent, outstanding individuals represent us. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay.
We feel very safe and we feel very nice
Thank
being
you.
together. We can sense the mother's bridge of love as well. Tongyu, do you still have any things to close up?
No, thank you very much. Thank you, Jennifer. We have so drawn into this interesting and fantastic talk. So, thank you, Johnny, for the hard work. Totally didn't have break at all. But you did a brilliant job, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Now we need to eat.
Yeah, it is, because it's such a great topic. It is dinner time in China and lunchtime in UK. 所以我们讲这个时候正好是越说我的肚子就越饿了，正好是中餐和晚餐的时候。
吃饭。
吃饭呢？
吃饭。I'm going to find my gingers and spring onions as well. I couldn't manage to plant gingers in my backyard. I only managed to bring some spring onions. Okay, everybody.
I would say it's a great successful to introduce garlic to UK culture.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
All right,
bye
thank
bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
周末愉快，拜拜。